Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are joining from. My name is Dominic Mwasia, the Executive Director and also the co-founder of the Kenya Education Fund, one of the leading scholarship non-profits in Kenya. Please allow me to take this opportunity to welcome you all to KEF's fourth annual virtual tour. Different from previous years, today we also streaming the event live on the platforms that Monshi has mentioned. In case you are joining us from those platforms, please feel welcome. For the benefit of those of us who are joining for the first time, we have put together a quick in form of a short video. The short video will introduce you to the KEF, and for those of us who been here before, you may see some familiar faces. So let us all take a short trip down memory. Are we having the video?
Hi, my name is Gibrian Chengo.
My name is Simon Kimani.
My name is Faith Anyoyo.
My name is John Nokuti Matacho.
I'm Patrick Sawa.
Welcome to our home.
It's made of poles from the forest and mud.
This is where normally we live. This is my home. This is where I used to stay.
This is our kitchen. Yeah, welcome.
So this is our kitchen.
This is where we do our cooking tasks. We use firewood because we cannot afford cooking gas. This is our room with my brother. We share this room with my brother. This is where we sleep both.
This is my small mattress, just a mattress and a small pillow.
This is the bed. We share, and I share it with my brother. And one of the reasons that I prefer to be in school is that I have my own bed.
Like being a Somali girl in my community, less than 40% of the girls get the opportunity to go to school.
Educating a girl child in my community is a challenge because they view girls as an asset.
As a girl, I have many duties. One, fetching water. I also fetching firewood from the local forest. I cook and also cleaning for the family. So maybe I would have dropped out in class 8, perhaps gotten married.
They'll be marrying them off when they're younger age so that in exchange of 5 cows.
For the young men like me who never got the opportunity to join high school, some of them have become border riders and others are in the city of Mombasa where they do manual jobs, and I suspect that others have become drug addicts.
If it was not KF, maybe I could be married to an old man. Maybe I could be the third wife.
There is a really huge number of dropouts. But here I am, all thanks to the KF scholarship. I'm currently studying, which is a fortune.
Hi, Kenya Education Fund.
This is our dormitory. It is called Soweto. This is where I sleep. This is where I put my belongings, like clothes.
This is our lab, our chemistry lab, and this is the place which I used to sit on the second desk here.
This is our library. I'm grateful because our school has provided with our library.
We have the television which we use on Saturday only for entertainment.
These are our laboratories for sciences. There are 3, one for chemistry, biology, and physics.
I'm hoping to get a better job in future so that I will come back and build my parents a permanent house.
My dream after my studies is to build a very beautiful and permanent house for my mother where she can live well and comfortable.
I've been able also to change the life of my family. I decided to build them a house. I'm paying school fees for 4 of my siblings. This is just to let our donors that you are impacting life or you're changing life outside here. You are changing a whole community.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Again, we do apologize in the event that we experience some challenges with internet and connectivity because of the locations where we are currently. So the KF mission is to provide economically advantaged students in Kenya with 5-year scholarships, 4 of which is for high school and the first year of college. And sometimes you may wonder why the first year of college. This is because it is difficult for students who are coming from backgrounds like where our students come from, who have not been able to afford high school, to transition to college. So us paying for the first year of college allows them to actually settle down, be eligible for other forms of funding, for example, the government loans. Some years back, we realized that academics alone would not guarantee success because of the backgrounds of our students. Programs like mentorship, life skills, reproductive health, and this has become KEF's secret sauce. As a result of this, 99% of KEF students graduate school, with over 98 transitioning to tertiary education, compared to the national average, which is about 32%. Additionally, our alumni have become well-rounded and dependable change makers in their communities. As the executive director, I cannot be more proud to mention that 6 out of the 10 members of staff are KEF alumni, including the country director, Francis. I'm not sure whether he's able to wave from where he is in Olulunga. And Monshila Naisenya, who not only produced all the graphics and videos that you're going to see today, but she will be the guide throughout the next hour. Other KEF alumni sit on our board. Over 4,000 students have gone through our program, with 65% of them joining the world of work. We continue to see these young men and women in many places, both in Kenya and also around the world, supporting themselves, their families, their communities, hence keeping the vision of the KEF alive, which is self-reliance through education. By providing access to education, we are not only creating a pathway to meaningful employment, but also preventing practices like the female genital mutilation, abuse, crime, among others. The goal of the KEF is to support Kenyan students in Kenya and create pathways to self-reliance in Kenya. And that's why we give local scholarships for students to attend local institutions and hopefully transition to meaningful employment within the country. Unfortunately, the cost of education in Kenya continues to be an impediment, with statistics indicating that 65% of Kenyan youth will not be able to complete high school without financial support. And this is the particular gap that KEF is trying to bridge. On average, it will cost $1,000 to keep one student in school and $5,000 for the entire 5-year period, including all the packages that include tuition, uniform, shoes, sanitary pads, and workshops on life skills, mentorship, and career readiness. With your support, we believe that these deserving students will go on to school and remain in school. In January this year, we admitted 61 new students into the program, and this brought our total of active students to 620. It is our hope that with your support, we shall be able to take in another lot of 2,000, if not come next year. In a recent meeting with our partner schools, it was brought to our attention that some students are brought to school by relatives and especially grandmothers or other members of the community, but are left without no one to. For example, when a student coming from a very rural primary school, the local community, including the primary school teachers, will come together, put some resources together, because this kid did so well and they don't want them not to go to. They will bring them to school, but then they don't come back to continue paying the fees. And these deserving students will eventually be kicked out of school due to huge fee balances that they can't pay, or their completion certificates withheld by the schools. And this is what in Kenya we call the living certificates. And without the living certificate, then this student is not able to transition to the next level, meaning that they will not be able to go and proceed to tertiary education. Luckily this year, with the support of the broader family and their friends, KEF established the Bradley Broader Memorial Fund to support these students, boys and girls who are left out by the mainstream application processes, but somehow find their way into school. Due to their impressive performance and promise, the schools admit some of them, hoping that one day, someone will come to their rescue. Just last month, which is in April, we awarded full scholarships to 4 such students, 2 boys and 2 girls. In today's tour, we shall meet one of the girls who will open a window for us into her life and what the future holds for them. I know all of us are very eager to meet the students and see life through their eyes. So without further delay, I take this opportunity to direct you to who is not only our guide for today, but also a KEF alumni. So ladies and gentlemen, please sit back and enjoy the tour. Over to you, Monchi. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dominic. Hello, everyone. My name is Monshela, and I will be this year's tour guide. A few things about myself. I am a KEF alumni, and I completed high school under KEF in 2015. I work for Kenya Education Fund as a communications officer. You will hear me refer to Kenya Education Fund as KEF going forward. That is our acronym. As Dominic mentioned, many of my colleagues and I are evidence of what your support of KEF has been doing in Kenya. So thank you very much. Kenya is a vibrant country in East Africa with 50 million friendly faces. Here are 4 fun facts about Kenya. We have 44 ethnicities, each with its own unique cultures, languages, and distinct quirks. We have 65 national parks, and our parks are home to the Big 5. The Big 5 are lions, elephants, buffaloes, leopards, and rhinos, amongst many other animals, and we have world-class marathon runners. During today's tour, we will visit 3 locations in Kenya: Bondo, near Lake Victoria in Siaya County; Narok, home to the world-famous Masai Mara National Park; and Nairobi, the capital city of Kenya. Welcome to Kenya. Karibuni, Kenya. Our very first student is a very special young lady. Mary Atieno was awarded one. I am seeing a hand raised. Is there a technical issue on that end? Okay, let me continue. Mary Atieno was awarded one of the 4 2024 Bradley Broader scholarships and is currently enrolled in the
4th month of sophomore year, which is in Form 2. She comes from rural Bondo in Siaya County near Lake Victoria, where she lives with her ailing mother and elderly grandmother. Mary was constantly sent home to fees, meaning in Kenya, students are sent home if they have arrears so that they can come back with the fee paid. Despite this, Mary still persevered and got good grades. Here is a video of Mary's family and home.
Hi, my name is Mary Valadejieng. My home is in Bondo. Welcome to my home. Behind me is our house. We used to live here when my dad was still alive, but the house was invaded by termites, so we moved out and my mom rented a house, but I live with my grandmother. This is my grandmother's house where I live when I'm in holiday. It has 2 rooms where that room is where she sleeps, and this one is the sitting room, and I sleep here. That is why I love school, because I have my own bed. I have shown you my home. Let me introduce you to my family. This is my grandmother. She is the breadwinner of our family. And this is my mother. She is called Christina Tiendo.
Mary Valerie ni mjukuu wangu. Baba yake ndio mtoto yangu ya kwanza. Sasa mimi nashukuru kupata mtu amekisaidia. Tashukuru sana kwa Mwenyezi Mungu. Na karibisha wageni wameingia kwangu. Napiga asante sana. Karibuni.
Before getting the scholarship, I used to be sent home to come and get the school fees, but my mother was not able to raise the school fees. If it had gone like that, I would have dropped out of school too.
Naitwa Christina Tieno. Mimi ndio mama Mary Valerie. Niko na watoto wawili. Mkubwa anaitwa Mile Danyango na Mary Valerie. Mkubwa aliacha shule kama ako Form 2. Nianza kufonjeka 2019. Ndio maana aliacha shule juu ya school fees. Nashukuru tu Mungu kama watu wa education wa Kenya Education Fund wakabali kumchukua. Nashukuru tu Mungu.
The road to Mary's home was very challenging, and getting there took a while, but we got there well. Now we will head to Rangala Girls High School, which has been a KF partner for very many years because of their amazing administration and dedicated teachers. Here is what the Vice Principal of Rangala had to say.
My name is Madam Caroline Odongo. I'm the Deputy Principal Administration of St. Francis Rangala Girls. Mary Valerie Achieng is our student currently in Form 2 West. Mary reported in 2023 unaccompanied, meaning that she admitted herself in school. So when she reached my desk, the admission desk, I inquired from her where her parent was, and she told us that the mother was at home. On calling the mother, she said that she was not even aware that Mary had brought herself to school. So we asked her or requested her to come to school the following day. Meanwhile, we admitted Mary unconditionally. She was given a box. She was given school uniforms without paying and other items that she needed. Then we called the parent to bring her a pair of shoes and other small requirements. So we realized that the circumstances at home were not so good. Mary is very needy, and we are happy that Kenya Education Fund picked her because we know that she has potential to do better if given the right environment and the things that she needs for school. So as an administrator, I encounter many students who come from financially challenged background, especially during admission. Even this year, we had quite a number of girls who are challenged. Sometimes we seek support from organizations, and sometimes it does not come. It is not very easy to support or keep students in school without school fees, and most of the time, sometimes we are forced to send even sponsored students out of school. And as you're sending them as an administrator, you know that definitely there is nothing at home and they might not even come back. Some of them drop out, but some of them just pass through school by the support of the principal and other organizations. So this is a gap that needs to be looked into. We need to have so many people coming up to sponsor girls, those of the girls who come from challenged backgrounds. So I want to appreciate, because sponsoring a girl is like sponsoring a whole nation. These girls, when they are kept in school, it is good. We are preventing early marriages, early pregnancies, and you know, if you want to change a society, you start by educating the girls.
Very powerful words from the vice principal. I have to say, at Rangala, when we got there, we were offered a very cold glass of soda, which is amazing considering how warm it is. And now I'd like to invite Mary and her teacher, Teacher Karen, to join me live from Rangala. Hello.
Hi, Monshe.
Hi, Mary. Hi, Karen.
Hi.
So, Teacher Karen, I have a few questions for you. Of all the needy students that the vice principal has mentioned, why did you recommend Mary for the Bradley Broder Scholarship? And what was your first thought when Simon called you and told you about the Bradley Broder Scholarship?
Okay. Thank you, Monshe. I think I'll start with my first response when Simon called. If I remember correctly, we had a conversation with him earlier before the call. I had talked to him and asked him to inform Dominic that we have very many needy cases, and we were just admitting from ones at that time. So we were processing the ones that the KEF had sponsored. So I was like, what happened to the continuing students? I have a few needy cases that we could do with the help. So a week after that, I think Simon called, and I was like, hey, this God listens. This God answers prayers. So you can imagine how I felt and how my principal felt, because she was the one who asked me to do that, to pass that information to Dominic. So it was a great feeling. I love that. And why Mary? Mary stood out. She stood out because her case was unique from the day she joined Rangala. And even with the challenges that she faced within that first year of schooling with us, we looked at her performance. She was there. She was not giving up. Her performance was steady. She was still doing well. We checked with her class teacher to look at her discipline, and she's very disciplined. So her performance spoke for her. Her discipline spoke for her. Her determination, of course, spoke for her. So we said, why not? Here is a story, and let us give her a chance to do better. So that is why we chose her.
Thank you very much, Teacher Karen. And now, Mary, have you eaten lunch?
Yes.
Okay, your vice principal said that you went to school alone. So what made you take yourself to school, and tell us how you got to school that day?
So
Where after doing my KCP result, my KCP exams, and the time for admission was near, so I decided to take the responsibility to go to school and try to talk to the principal so that I can be able to get admitted. I didn't tell any I didn't tell any of my relatives about that. Even my mother didn't know. So I went and talked to my neighbor. I explained everything to her, and she helped me to come to school on that day. So after reaching at the gate, the watchman saw me and came to me. He asked me what I was doing alone at that time. It was actually 4 p.m. So I explained everything to him, and I told him that I want to see the principal. He said that the principal was not in, and he went and told the deputy principal that there was a girl at the gate who wanted to see the principal. So I was allowed in, and I told the deputy principal what I was going through, and she understood me, and she told me that she's ready to help me so that I can be able to get admitted to start my education in Rangala Girls. Yes.
Wow, that was a real journey. Good job, Mary. You're now in school. So now tell us, when you found out you've been offered the Bradley Broder Scholarship, what was that moment for you, and what did you go through? How did you feel?
At first, I did not believe it because I've never had a scholarship before. So I was happy, shocked. I started crying. I didn't believe it. Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing. So finally, what are your hopes and dreams for the future now that you have the Bradley Broder Scholarship and you're settled in school?
My hopes are completing my education, and after completing my education, I become a doctor. After being a doctor, I help my mother. My mother's health is not good, so I can help her to be good and have a good life like a mother to me. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much, Mary, for sharing your wonderful story with us. Did you have anything else for us today?
Yes. Here is a video of my school. Welcome to Rangala Girls. Enjoy. My name is Mary Valeria Chieng. I'm in Form 2 West. I come from Boni Sub-County. Welcome to our school. These are my classmates. Please say hi to KEF. One thing I like about my school is that we have the labs. This one is our chemistry lab, but the Form 4s are doing their practicals there. Our dorm is that it is always clean and maintained. This is my bed. I like it because it is very comfortable, and it makes me happy because at home I don't sleep on a bed. I sleep on the seat. This is our library. I enjoyed being in a library because it is always silent, and anyone can read without being disturbed. I always come here to read physics and biology because they are my favorite subjects.
Wonderful. I welcome Dominic for the next section of Q&A.
Thank you very much, Mary, for sharing that bit about your life, your experience joining Rangala, and your hopes for the future. And also thank you, Karen, for supporting Mary to be online at this time. Asante sana. Ladies and gentlemen, again, I would like to apologize for the intermittent connectivity that you're experiencing. I have been told that my connection was a bit choppy. I have tried a lot of things so that I can be not choppy. So I hope one of them is working. All right. If not, please let me know. At this juncture, I would like to welcome members in the audience. For anyone who might be having a question or a comment for Mary or for Teacher Karen while we still have them here. You can raise up your hand and someone will unmute you. You can also drop your question in the chat and we'll have Mary and or Karen respond to that. Thank you. And as we do that, I have seen one question in the chats. I'm not sure who asked it, but the question was, have any students and or schools been impacted by the floods? The quick question is yes. A lot of schools were submerged by the floods, and also some schools were used as temporary shelters for people who had to relocate, either through evacuation or through their houses being demolished by the government because they were in very risky areas. And so some of them became temporary accommodation or shelters. And also it was not possible for students to travel from their homes to their schools because we have a boarding system. And sometimes they have to travel quite far from home. And so the reopening of the second term, which you could also call the second semester, was delayed by 2 weeks. So both the students and the teachers have to do catch up in order to catch up on the syllabus. I hope that answers that question. Do we have another one? I'm not sure whether we have another question. If not, Mary and Teacher Karen, yes, Ellen. There is a question by Ellen. Can someone unmute Ellen?
Okay, here I am. I was impressed by the facilities, the science lab and the library. Are those as a result of KEF's work or are those as a result of the school itself?
I can answer that, Ellen. That is not exactly as a result of KEF's work. Rangala Girls, where Mary goes, is one of the best schools in the country. It's a national school, so it's very well facilitated. And it is one of the reasons why KEF selected that school as a partner. Unless Karen wants to chime in on that.
Thanks, Dom. Yeah, Rangala Girls is an extra county school, not a national school yet. We are on the way. The facilities we have around are all courtesy of the school management, the parents, and the government. They chip in to do the constructions. And by extension, Kenya Education Fund, because they are part of the community that does this through paying the school fees to their scholars. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. One question for you, Mary, from a member of the audience, and then we move on. Besides academics, what do you do after classes or during the weekends?
During the weekends, I usually spend some of my time drawing or attending scouts meeting for practice or making stories with my friends about how our future will be one day. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you, Mary. Um, I think, ladies and gentlemen, we'll proceed to the next segment. And before we do so, I suspect that some of us are wondering as to what does it take, or what do some of our students need for them to be able to stay in school and do so in a way that allows them to succeed and to be comfortable, considering that they're in a boarding situation. So for $10, we can actually provide sanitary pads for one girl for the whole year for $10. For $20, we can get a very brand new pair of shoes for a boy or for a girl. For $50, we can get textbooks for one student. And these are textbooks that are required by the school, but not all students are able to afford them. And for $100, we can purchase a full set of uniform for one student for 1 year. And we have a QR code there. You can scan and see how you can participate. And also, once you follow that, you'll find different ways through which you can participate. And for those of us who are in Kenya, you don't have to pay in dollars. You can also do it in shillings via our M-Pesa number 831-500. 1,000 or 1,500 will get sanitary pads. 2,500 Kenya shillings will get a decent pair of shoes. About 6,000 will be able to afford textbooks for one student, and up to 15,000 we are able to buy a full set of uniform for our students. The M-Pesa pay bill number is 831-500. Account, put your name, and someone will get in touch with you. Thank you. I think we can proceed to the next segment, and I take you back to Monchi.
Thank you very much, Dominic. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Karen. Our next student is an amazing young man whose story is very unique, and he represents a very special demographic. Wilson Choi comes from Narok County.
Monchi, I'm not sure if you're still with us. We can't hear you.
Monchi, we lost your voice.
Dom, maybe you could introduce Wilson.
So sorry about that. Am I back on?
Yes, we can hear you.
Wonderful. Again, we are mostly live. The network fluctuates all the time. Sorry about that. So I was saying, in 2024 alone, 86 deserving students were unfortunately but luckily for Wilson, during his year, an opening was found, and upon calling him, KF Programs Officer discovered that Wilson had not yet enrolled in school. Immediately, KF contacted our partner school through Madam Christine Olulunga, which is in Narok, and had him admitted in term 2. Now let's take a trip to Wilson's home, where his family welcomed us with open arms and so much happiness.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Joy Wilson. This is my home. Welcome to our home. With me, I have my father, my mother, together with my grandmother. Also, my younger siblings, my brothers and sisters, together with my cousins. Our place is Narok County. With me, this is my grandmother's house. You can see the environment inside the house. She lives together with his 2 grandchildren. They came to live with their grandmother. This is because there are too many in their homes. This is my room. When I go to school, my older brother who dropped out of school uses to live here. The reason why I have decorated my house with the charts of the music is because I like music. I like music also. That's my dream together with being a doctor. This is our living room. This is where my father and my mother lives. Also, on the other side, this is our father's room together with my mother's room. This is our kitchen. All our family meals are cooked here. This is the bed where my younger siblings used to sleep here.
Mimi ni Mama Wilson. Wilson alikuwa amefanya mtihani wa class 8. Akapata marks mzuri sana. Sasa hatukuwa na kitu ya kuchukua shule. Mawazo mimi nilikuwa nayo nikasema wacha Wilson akae hii mwaka yote. Mungu akuje tuchukue mwaka ingine. Juu ya kiangazi ilikuja tukakosa kitu ya kuchukua.
Kwa majina yangu ni Jackson Njoe, Baba Wilson. Sasa imefurahia kabisa kijana tangu hiyo siku naendelea vizuri.
Ore le kijiji esidai yale ngisuma. Esidai ya ngisuma ule.
I really loved visiting Wilson's home. His grandmother kept following me around and we connected despite the language barrier between us. And now, without any more waiting, I welcome Teacher Christine and Wilson live from Ololunga. Welcome. Hi.
Hi, Monshi.
Hi, Wilson.
Hi, Monshi.
Okay, Teacher Christine, you have been the KF lesson teacher for a while now. So I have a question for you. As I mentioned before, Wilson represents deserving students who often get left out. So tell me about Wilson, his journey to your school and admitting him.
Thank you, Monshi, for the question, and hello to everyone. With me today, I have Wilson. My name is Christine Saya, a teacher from Ololulunga Boys High School. Our school is found in Narok County. That is, as mentioned earlier, the home to the Masai Mara. I met Wilson in term 2 when he was admitted to Form 1. Before then, Sarah had called me asking to get a position for him, an admission in term 2. I was a bit reluctant because I didn't know whether the administration was going to accept that. This was not a normal thing because usually in Kenya, students are picked from term 1. And this was already in term 2, a student who has already missed out in term 1. And this being a big school, an extra county school, I did not think the administration was going to pick that. But luckily, he got the admission and was admitted to school. He reported with everything catered for. He had a full set of uniform. He had good school shoes, taffy for that matter. And Sarah had already sent the calculator, the geometrical set, everything that Wilson needed for that day. And so we admitted him. He was very happy. The parent kept on telling me, thank you. And I told him all thanks goes to Kenya Education Fund. To this day, Wilson is doing so well. He's an outstanding student. He's all round, both in curricular and co-curricular activities. And all I can say is I'm proud of him.
Thank you very much, Mwalimu. That was wonderful. So before I go to Wilson, I have a couple of people texting saying they have no audio. Please check your audio settings, click on your mic. You may have not dialed in or connected your audio to the meeting. And now to Wilson. Wilson, how was it for you when you found out that you have been awarded the KF scholarship?
When I received the call from the KF family, I was very excited, very happy, since I
I knew that I was going to school. I was going to work hard so that I can make my future best. Also, it is my first time to wear the tavis. Like when I was in primary, when I used to wear the Maasai shoes, the Kinyara. So I was very excited when I started wearing it, and thank you very much.
That's wonderful. For those who don't know, Mkinyara is a type of sandal made from a cat tire. I don't know how else to describe it, but it's made from a cat tire and it's very durable. It does not end easily. Also, Wilson, when you were in primary school, you had classmates. Where are they now? What's going on with them?
When we were primary, we were 56 in number to the class 8. We sat for our exam. Then some of them joined the school. Some of them, including me, we were left home because we didn't have money to join the school. For me, I joined the school through the CAF. Some of those my peers are like boys. Some of them, they are employed in looking after the kettles of the people. Some of them are working in people farm. There also some girls together with boys. Some of them get married, and also some of the girls married at a younger age.
Thank you very much, Wilson, for that answer. One more question. During that first term that you were at home, what were you doing? What was going on?
During that first term, I was at home together with mom, with my guardians. We were struggling so that we can save some amount of money so that the coming year I could join to school. To this, it was not really working because once I have my older sister together with my older brother, they have not joined the school. So when we were doing that, I was seeing that I will not join the school.
Okay, you're very lucky. Very many of us are very lucky for the KF scholarship. One last question. I know I said that was the last question, but I have one more question. What are your hopes and dreams for the future?
My hopes are to finish the school and go to the college, pursue my dream of being a veterinary doctor. This is very advantageous to me to become a veterinary doctor, since in our community, they are all pastorally. So I could use that chance to make money. I could also use it to help the community. The health of the cattle are not good, so I can use it to help my community. Also, when I get that dream, I will help my family, my parents to build them a good house and compare like that you have seen on the video.
Wow, thank you so much, Wilson. I'm seeing someone has dropped the photo of the shoes in the chat. You can check out those shoes. And now I welcome Dominic for the Q&A section.
Thank you once again, Wilson and also Christine, for allowing us to visit with you at Olulunga Boys. And also thank you for the person who has shared a photo in the chats about the shoes that Wilson was talking about. It's one of the best ways of recycling car tires, basically. So you cut it into pieces, you put laces, and it becomes a shoe. And the people who wear them, I hear them say they also found in the bush somewhere. So thank you very much. I don't know whether we have questions or someone in the audience who has a question for Wilson and or Christine while we still have them here. And I've also received a chat. People thought that it's Wilson Joel. It is Wilson Joy. And NCH, enjoy, not joy. Thank you. Anyone who has a question, please raise your hand and someone will unmute you. And we can hear you. And also, if not, you can drop your chat, your question in the chats, and we'll be able to have it responded to. So there's one member in the audience who is asking, Wilson, what is your favorite subject in school and what do you enjoy doing in your free time? What is your favorite subject, Wilson, and what do you enjoy doing when you're not in class?
Okay, my favorite subjects are biology together with business. What I enjoy doing through my free times at home, I used to enjoy listening to music. Also in school, when I have during the games time, I used to play rugby.
All right. So Wilson enjoys playing rugby, listening to music, and his favorite subjects are biology and business education. Very, very well. Thank you for that. One last one before we move on to the next one. And please keep looking at the charts. There will be some useful information about KEF and also how you can participate. I know earlier I talked about items that we provide to our students for them to be comfortable, not only comfortable, but also they are required because they need uniform, they need shoes, girls require sanitary pads. What I forgot to mention is that some of our girls in this country will access sanitary pads only when they're in school, because that's where organizations like Kenya Education Fund are able to support. It's not a priority item, considering that they come from very financially challenged backgrounds when they're at home. But also, they need to pay fees. So how much does it cost to keep a student in school? With $84 a month, we are able to afford fees for one student, $84 a month. In Kenyan shillings, that would be 8,400 or thereabout. And that's fees for one student for 1 month. With $1,000 per year, that is a complete package for one student for the entire year. And remember, we have a boarding system. So this means the student will have room, will have board, will have food, will have water, will have electricity, they will have their own bed, and they will also have their tuition catered for with $1,000 per year. Kenyan shillings, that would be around 10,000 per month, or 100,000 shillings for the entire year. Please scan that QR code, which will lead you to a place where you can choose options through which you can participate. And also in the charts, you will find necessary information that pertains to how you can be part of this. So $84 a month and $1,000 a year, that is enough to keep one student in school comfortably. Thank you. I now take you to Monshila again. Monshila, over to you.
Thank you so much, Dominic, for reminding us to donate to keep supporting students. Today, I have the privilege, and before I have the privilege, I've been told most people here don't know what tafis are. Tafis are a shoe type that is mandatory for most Kenyan schools. We have a mandatory uniform. So tafis is a type of shoe that looks a certain way, and tafis is the brand of that specific shoe. And it's a leather black shoe. So that's all. So today I have the privilege to introduce a friend, a mentor, and just an amazing lady, forgive my tongue, Benta Bondo. She comes from Nairobi County. She was a mentor to me during the workshops back when I was a student, and currently she volunteers during KF workshops. KF workshops have a lot of learning, a lot of dancing, a lot of singing and team building. And on that note, here is a very short glimpse of KF workshop.
Gonna have some good times with good memories. A little bit of sunshine and good vibes. Yeah, that's all we need. And we ain't gonna worry, ain't in a hurry. Everything is going our way. We're gonna have some good times with good friends, making good memories. Everybody's moving to the song on the radio. A little Stevie Wonder never hurt nobody's soul. Something about lawn chairs out in the warm air feels like a sacred place. 'Cause when we all get together, every day is a holiday. We're gonna have some good times with good friends, making good memories. A little bit of sunshine and good vibes, yeah, that's all we need. And we ain't gonna worry, ain't in a hurry. Everything is going our way. We're gonna have some good times with good friends, making good memories. Doesn't matter if it's been a year or been a week. We can always pick right up and never miss a beat. There's something about seeing those smiles and busting out laughing face to face. It's a real kind of feeling no phone call can replace. Oh, we're gonna have some good times with good friends, making good memories.
That was just the tip of the iceberg of how amazing our workshops are. And today, Benta joins us live from her office in Nairobi. Welcome, Benta.
Thank you, Monshi. Thank you so much. That was a very lovely introduction. Hi, everyone. My name is Benta. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's an honor to share our country, our homes, our stories, and even our workplaces with you. As you've heard, my name is Benta. I'm currently 28 years old. I've been under the KEF program. I went through the KEF program successfully, and I met KEF in 2010. So it's been over a decade of amazingness. So I currently work and live in Nairobi. I work in HR. I'm a human resource professional, and I work at a media and creative startup. I'll give you a short tour after I've shared my story with you. I'm also a very active alumni, and I'll take a moment to send a shout out to all the alumni members on the call. Thank you so much for joining us today. I also sit on the board of the Kenya Education Fund Alumni Association, which shapes and directs the vision and activities of the Alumni Association. So it's really a privilege. Before meeting KEF, life was very interesting. So I'll just paint a picture for you. When Mary and Wilson were talking, I couldn't help but see a lot of similarities, even though we are in totally different setups. Like with many KEF scholars, our stories are usually very similar, even though we come from very different walks. So for me, I didn't grow up in the rural place. I grew up in Nairobi, in the city, in the capital city, but on the very rough side of Nairobi. I grew up in one of the largest informal settlements called Mathare. And so life in Mathare wasn't very rosy. There's a lot of crime going on around there. There's a lot of insecurity. There's a lot of drug abuse. And I remember growing up, we used to hear gunshots almost every night, so it became a norm. And also there's a lot of prostitution because people are trying to make a living in very dubious ways. They're trying to make a living with whatever they can. And so that was life outside. And inside, within my family, I grew up with my mom, my younger brother, and a lot of relatives, cousins around, aunties and uncles, and we were all crumpled up in a very tiny space. And the way Mary was saying, she loved school because she gets to have a bed in school. So even for me, I got to have my tiny sleeping space in school. So that is one thing I looked forward to when I was going back to school. And I really wanted to get out of this situation. And I discovered from a young age the way I could do that and break out of that cycle was by burying myself in books and really studying hard. And I did that until I joined a very prestigious girls' school called Loreto High School Limuru in Nairobi. But the more the prestigious school it is, the more expensive it is. And so being a national school, it was very expensive. My mom took me the first day with very little. I think I only had my one set of uniform. And the rest, she said, we were going to see. That's what she said. So For the first year in school, my fee wasn't paid for, and the administration kept sending me home for fees, the way Mary had told you, because in Kenya, if you don't clear the arrears, you can't stay in class. You're sent constantly back at home. So that was my story up until I met KEF in the second year of school. And during our workshop, like you've just seen on the video, that is how my life took a total paradigm shift and things turned around for me. So when I met KEF came in and cleared my school fees for the first year and second year. And during the workshop, this is where I didn't even know I was stressed and depressed, because the first year was really hard for me. I couldn't fit in. There was a lot of stigma, having grown up in the ghetto, and you're put in this setup where life is very intimidating for you. The people you're reading with, you're learning with, from well-off backgrounds, you can't even express yourself well. So there was a lot of that going on in my first year. And when I came to this workshop, I remember there was a lot of psychosocial support, the auxiliary programs Dominic was talking about. There were people to talk to us, there were counselors on board. And when I went back to school after that with my extra set of uniform that I was given, my new Taffy's shoes, as you've seen in the image there shown, and new books, I was a completely different person. I was empowered mentally. And I went back to school and I did my best. I ended up passing my examinations in secondary school, and I went straight to university again, courtesy of the Bridge Scholarship that saw me transition to university, Jomo Kenyatta University, where I did a bachelor's in human resource management for 4 years. Also, the government loan saw me through uni after that. And after I graduated in 2018 again, courtesy of KEF and all that they were doing for me. After that, I volunteered here and there to just gain experience. I volunteered and worked with youth and women and children in the community. And that volunteering is what led me to get the job that I have today. I started off as an executive assistant, but I'm currently leading the HR function or department in the organization. And life for me before KEF and after KEF has truly been very, very different. Because before I tell you what I'm doing for others in my family, let me just tell you what I'm doing for myself first. I'm taking care of myself. I moved out of Madara a long time ago. I'm currently living in the outskirts of Nairobi on the top of a hill, a very quiet place, very green, and I'm loving it over there. And I'm able to fully function in this society responsibly by meeting my needs. I'm also not on survival mode. For most of us growing up, we were on survival mode constantly. And I'm slowly phasing out of that and even starting to thrive and enjoying life. Right now, at least I can afford a book for myself every other month because I'm into reading so much. On my birthdays, I can take myself out to the movies. These are things we dreamt of growing up. But right now, I'm able to do this, and I can see, oh my God, I'm thriving. I'm not just living and constantly in survival mode. I've also been able to clear my government loan because I'm working right now, bit by bit. I've cleared it, and it's a big deal for me. And on top of that, we are having crucial conversations, for example, savings, investments, and even having a retirement plan. These are conversations we never had growing up. And I'm really privileged that I've had the exposure to even start thinking of such things and put up the right parameters for my daughter, because I'm raising a young family and a young girl at the moment. Beyond myself, because it's really important also to fill in the cups of other people. I've been able to help my family so much, like the other scholars were talking about building permanent homes for their parents. I was able to take my mom from the ghetto, the informal settlement Mathare. She's currently in a very quiet rural town in Western Kenya, where she's growing her own food, maize and beans, and keeping her chickens, and just enjoying the clean air of the rural place, and doing her own tiny thing over there. My mom was sickly growing up because she did a lot of meager jobs here and there under very rough environments. But right now I'm able to take care of her health. I'm able to support my brother and other cousins with their school fees and a little shopping when they go back to school, and also just to support the way I was supported. And beyond this, in the community, I'm also very involved. Where I grew up, I told you I love reading books. And so the library where I grew up in and fell in love with books, I always go back there and read with the children. I create workshops and forums where I can talk to the young people, teenagers, and people in campus, and even prepare them for the work environment. Simple things as how to present yourself, how to build a resume. Those are things I do because that is what I do for a living. And I also remember with the recent flood, so many people, Mathare was one of the hardest hit places in Kenya. And so many people that we grew up with lost their lost loved ones and their property. And we did a donation drive for them with the people I grew up with. We went back and we tried to help where we could. So that has been life after KEF and after graduating and now working. So the way you had, I work at a media and creative startup. It's a lovely space. There you can see my background over here. So I'll just give you a tour. 1 minute, allow me to. It's called Baraza Media Lab. I'm turning my video. I'm currently in our boardroom. I don't know why it's not turning. Just give me a minute. There we go. So this is one of our boardrooms. It's curated for creatives. So it needs to be really beautiful. And this is outside. That's outside. We host the Netherlands embassy down here. So we get to enjoy some of the parks, like really good tight security. And this is the general working space. I'm going to use that because people are working and we have an event today. So these are creatives, different creatives and people in media working. I hope you can hear me even though I'm whispering. Let me just rush a little bit because I want to show you a podcasting studio. That's over on that end. So it produces a lot of podcasts for Nairobi people at the moment. As you can see, they're a bit busy. Yeah. So this is Baraza. We're called Baraza Media Lab. This is like the stage area where very important conversations happen. And now I'll let the rest continue working as I finish my story. Yes, guys, this is where I work. It's a really fun, cool, funky place, even from the design. Sorry, I'm trying to settle back in. And it's not just usually the fun stuff. We also do some crucial and serious things, for example, holding power to account and trying to reignite the public trust in media. So those are some of the things we do over here. And I'm really privileged to be working among storytellers because I'm a storyteller myself. I'm a writer. Outside work, I write and I read. I blog a little. Yes, so that is me in a nutshell. And thank you so much. Thank you for joining me. And I'll open the floor to any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Benta, for sharing that inspirational story about yourself and your life journeys. I totally remember when you walked into the office with your mother like 14 years ago, and see where you are now. Totally different place. Thank you for sharing that. Ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, I would like to invite any questions we might have for Benta. You can raise up your hand and someone will unmute you. I also think both Wilson and Mary are still around in the event that there's a question or you have a comment for them. And it may not necessarily be a question. You can just say something or make a comment just in case. I have seen one by Cassidy from Austin, Texas. Cassidy would like to volunteer, would like to know how she can volunteer with the KEF. We'll get in touch after this. Thank you very much. We invite any question and or comment for our three most important guests today. Thank you. As people think about that, there's one question in the chats. Victoria is asking, what is the criteria for students that get the bridge scholarships? How do they qualify? Quick response to that is that, of course, they have to be our students in high school. They sit for the national exam and they get an admission to a tertiary institution. So with an admission to a tertiary institution, they qualify for a bridge scholarship. And in this case, it can be for a degree course, for a diploma course, for a certificate course, as long as they have an admission letter or an admission document to any institution of higher learning, they qualify for bridge scholarships. And in our case, this has been about 98%, over 98% of our students do transition to institutions of higher learning. I hope that answers your question, Victoria. If there's any other, we are happy to respond, whether it is directed to any of our three guest speakers, Benta, Wilson, and Mary. Or you can drop it in the chats. Is there anything in the chat that I'm missing, Tim?
There was a question for Wilson about music. Somebody asked whether you want to be both a veterinary doctor and a musician.
Wilson, the question is yours. Do you want to be both veterinary doctor and a musician, or is it one of them?
Yes, my dreams are to become a veterinary doctor. Also, I want to become a musician, since for now I'm practicing writing music so that I can at least become a musician.
Okay. So Wilson says he has a dream to become a vet doctor, but he spends a bit of time writing music so that he can become a musician at some point. Quite interesting. Any other question? So as we think of, yes.
Sorry, I think there's one for me, but I'm not sure. Somebody is asking what is my proudest moment. I'll just go ahead and answer that.
Sure.
I'd say it was last year, 15th deck at around 8:15 p.m. when I brought my baby girl into this world. Nothing quite prepares you for that. She just turned 5 months the other day. And don't be fooled by this face. I'm very sleep deprived because as the parents on the call will tell you, it's quite something. It's a journey. It's demanding, it's draining, but it's the most beautiful journey ever. So that was a very proud moment for me, not just because I was bringing life into this world, but because I had the right parameters for her. Growing up, pre-KEF and maybe pre all this amazingness, if I had a kid in the ghetto, I would have been very stressed. But right now, very mature at this age, able to provide for her and having plans for her in place, it was a happy moment for me. And I always looked forward to that the day I have a family, I'll be ready for it. And thanks to KEF, I've been ready and I'm ready for it right now. So that was my proudest moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Benta. That was a very interesting perspective. You're a proud parent because you were ready for it, because you had the right parameter for your child. That's we don't hear that every day. Thank you. All right, I think in the interest of time, even as we continue to read your text or comments or questions in the chat, it's also good for us to mention to you how we can partner with the student. We have talked about the items that the students will need. We have talked about the annual fees that are required to keep a student in class or in school. But I would also like to tell you about what it takes to actually be in a long-term partnership with a student. The length of our scholarship, which I mentioned, was 5 years. And with $5,000, we're able to cover the entire package of a student from 9th grade all the way to the first year of university. And this will guarantee room and board, uniform, the life skills workshops that they have been talking about, and of course, a staff member being able to visit them, and a community where they grow as complete as it is possible. And with $5,000, you're able to partner with the student for that period. And what do you get as a result of that? You develop a relationship where the student will write to you a letter at least every quarter or at least 3 times a year. And through that, you get to know them better. You get to know where they come from. You get to know their family. You become involved in one way or the other. You get to know how they are growing up. And imagine a relationship of 5 years. You get to see them transition from one phase of their life to the next one. With that QR code, this will lead you, once you scan it, will lead you to a platform where you can choose all those options. But then it doesn't mean that you can only commit 5,000. Like I explained earlier, there are different ways through which you can participate and become a community of the Kenya Education Fund. And you will all agree that it's a very amazing community that works and walks with girls and boys like Mary and Wilson, young men and women like Benta and beyond. All right. So at this point, I think we are coming to a close. In the interest of time, I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone who has participated in one way or the other. I can start with the production team. I can tell you it is not easy putting all this together, considering that all of us are amateurs. We did not use any high-tech equipment. No one has any high-tech expertise. All of us came together with volunteers and we managed to put this together, but also putting some of the lessons that we've gathered over the last 4 years together for us to be able to bring you a tour or a show like the one you've seen. And I can tell you, even as late as yesterday evening and earlier today, some people got into smaller meetings to make sure that we're able to bring this show to you. I also want to thank the KEF staff. I want to thank the KEF board. I want to thank all the volunteers. And there are other members that I would want to thank more especially, not only for anything surrounding this show, but for the way they have worked with us over the last couple of years. First of them will be Enchanted Fairies, Rainwater Charity Foundation, Sego Family Foundation, Courtesy Foundation, Crossing Threshold, Prudential Life Assurance Kenya Limited, the KCB Foundation, and all the schools that we work with. Right now, we work with 154 high schools across the country, 28 universities and colleges who have entered into partnership with the KEF for us to be able to provide the kind of environment that our students need. And then very lately, we were joined by the Rotary Club of Karen, who became our newest partner. And of course, the Applications Review Committee. You kept hearing from Monty and others about how after the application process, someone was left out. It's because a team of volunteers, we call the Application Review Committee, spend a lot of time going over the applications word by word, and for us to be able to come with a short list, which eventually ends up joining our family. So ladies and gentlemen, with those many and few remarks, I want to thank all of you from wherever you joined. And for some of you, we'll be reaching out. We'll make follow-ups, but and also this the recording of this will be shared once it's ready. And we look forward to having you next time in the next show. Thank you very much. Asante sana. Myself and the team will be left behind for a few minutes in the event that someone wants to have a quick word or question or something. We'll be still around.
There was one question that popped up, and I think Dom, you and Benta can answer this. So the question was to Benta: did you receive help from the university to help secure work and housing after graduation? Do students still face challenges finding employment? I'm wondering how the job market is in Kenya to find jobs in your desired field. That was from Lian Fisaken.
Benta, do you want to give it a shot?
Yes, maybe I can go first and answer the first bit of that
All
question.
right.
Unfortunately, no, there was no direct support for housing and even a job, but the university indirectly prepares you for that through units like entrepreneurship, because we are told not to just, we need to think outside the box. Don't just think of formal employment. What can you do outside formal employment that can help you? And so there were such conversations, and then just equipping us for the workplace by bringing people to talk to us about how to present ourselves, kind of what I'm doing for the people after me right now. How do you make a good resume? How do you present yourself on sites like LinkedIn? They helped to prepare us for that journey, but they didn't give us like direct jobs or even housing. And then for me personally, I know the rate of unemployment out there is quite high, unfortunately. And most of us are geared to think that we can only make it in the formal employment space, which is not, which is a lie. Because so many people are thriving in the informal setup also. Even the creative garage that I work in, 90%, if not 95%, most of these people are making a very good, decent life out of creation of the things they're doing. And that is the conversation I'm trying to have with students and people I meet right now. And so the universities didn't give us that directly, but they prepared us for it. Again, KEF came in very big also, because I remember during the Bridge Scholarship, that is when we started having such conversations with Dom and the team and the facilitators that came. Like, if you don't become a doctor, a lawyer today, what else can you do? Is Benta good at writing? Can she use her writing to make a decent living from that? And trust you me, this is what I'm a living testimony. I used to want to become an architect when I was growing up, but I'm really surprised, even in my HR profession, I can still make a decent living out of that. And from time to time, I also write for people when I'm not working formally. I write and I get to charge. So yeah, you get, even though the in unemployment is very high, you can go around it and still make it in this life. Dom, if you want to add anything on that, welcome.
I have a feeling that you've put it very well.
Okay.
That was a very good summary, and I think a true picture of what exactly happens. I think for KEF and or for KEF students, they're a bit lucky because the conversations about career readiness start quite early while they're still in high school. So by the time they are maybe second or third year university, they are slightly ahead of the competition. That's what I would add.
Dom, I forgot one thing, just shortly. And because formal opportunities were not easy to come by, something as simple as an internship. So I knocked on so many doors and I volunteered with organizations for free. I wasn't paid for like over 2 years. I went to them and said, I want to learn this thing. You don't have to pay me. I'll just be coming in to learn. And while I was sharing my story, that is what I said. Through this volunteering experience with organizations out there in the place where I grew up in Madare, and even KEF, I volunteered with KEF for a while, not just as a mentor, but also in the office to learn basic admin skills. They led up to my current employment. I started off as an executive assistant and found my way into HR. So that volunteering also helped a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Benta, for that addition. I could also say that we require our students to participate in something we call community service. This is for them to start giving back quite early. So when they're in their first or second year of high school, they start giving back to their communities. This can be going back to their elementary schools or going back to their churches and doing something for that community. And by so doing, they get exposure, they get noticed. They start learning some soft skills that won't be taught in school. And I think this prepares them for the future. Good question. That was a very good question. Thank you. We are
Thank
still
you,
here.
Dom.
If there's another one, last one, while we still have our.
I've seen two questions for me. I'll just tackle them very shortly. The creative garage I work in is called Baraza Media Lab. You can check us out on socials or LinkedIn or our website. I can drop it down below. Yeah, and you're welcome. I'll come give you a tour of the place in person. The other question for me, somebody was asking about if I've kept in touch with my sponsor. unfortunately no after campus. His name is Harvey Kruger, and I think it's a very noble suggestion. I should paint for him my life right now, the journey that has been. So I'll reach out to KEF and we see if we can find Harvey Kruger, and I just tell him this story. So thank you for that reminder. Thank you. That's it from me.
Thank you. Is there another comment in the chat or question that I'm missing? I'm not able to see. If not, I can then take the last opportunity to say thank you to everyone. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful evening, wherever you are joining us from. It was a lot of fun having you, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.